So good morning. It's fall and it's pretty chilly this morning. I'm at the Portland Japanese Gardens and I'm going to be photographing probably arguably one of the most famous Japanese maples. It gets photographed a lot, and the fall is a great time to do it. I'm not sure of the color. It should be right about at the peak. I was here a couple of weeks ago and it was still pretty green. So I'm hoping that today it'll be a little better, if not right at the perfect time. It's pretty foggy this morning, and ideally you're going to want that tree to be backlit so that the leaves glow. But even with the fog, it can be kind of cool. A little bit of separation and, you know, that ethereal look. And with maybe some sunbeams poking through the fog as it starts to burn off, it could be really, really cool. So we'll see what it looks like. And there's other things to shoot in the gardens as well. So let's go. So as you're walking down, you would never notice that this tree is like all of that, because I was expecting it to be like really, really big the very first time I saw it, but it's not. So ideally what I want to have is I want to have the sun actually coming in from behind the tree and get it backlit so that all of the leaves are glowing. And we're still not at peak color. I was thinking we would be, but you can see that on the tree itself there's still a lot of green and red. So it's going to probably be another 4 or 5 days. None of the leaves have even started to fall off the tree yet. I mean, there's nothing underneath it at all. So it's just one of those, you just keep checking back to have it reach that peak color. So right now I'm just going to be looking for some other compositions here in the gardens to see if I can find anything, especially since this fog is still hanging around. And if I could make something work, that would be really cool. I had to take my glasses off because with wearing a mask with glasses, I can't see. It just fogs up. So let's see what else we can find. So I found a nice shot. It's really pretty. It's a nice Japanese maple. It's on the other side from the first one. This one seems to have some more orange to it, and I love the fact that the tree in front of it is started to drop some of these yellow leaves on the green grass. So that's going to be a nice foreground interest for the photograph as well. And again, the yellow leaves in the foreground against that green grass really, really make everything pop. And so I'm going to get this shot, and we'll see which one comes out the best. Even though I didn't get a shot of the main Japanese maple, the fog was fantastic, and it made for some incredible photography that morning in the Japanese gardens. And this is one of my favorites from the day, of another maple, and it was the fog was just being lit up by the early morning sun, and it provided a nice glow in the background, and those yellow leaves on the green grass was just icing on the cake. I absolutely love the look of this photograph. So a lot of times you hear, using a circular polarizer to take the glare off of rocks or waterfalls. I talk about that a lot, but it's also to enhance color. So even though there's no water here, the color on this tree that I'm photographing is just much more pronounced when I use a circular polarizer and polarize the photograph. the colors become deeper and richer when I do that. So let me show you on the back of the camera, and you'll get to see what, as I rotate the polarizer, how well it works. Okay, so watch. Hopefully you're going to be able to see this as I turn it. So that's not so good. And as I turn it, there we go. And you get to finesse it. And you get the richest colors about right there, I think. Yeah, about right there. So the fog was definitely the star of the morning. And this photograph shows just how amazing that backlighting looks, and it gives you that nice separation between the subject and the background. And the polarizer did a nice job of bringing out those vibrant reds in this maple tree. Love the rock in the lower right, and I love how the green contrasts so well with the red and the orange of the tree. So I'm headed back to the car. I didn't bother to photograph that one Japanese maple, the one that's photographers stand in line for hours sometimes to shoot, simply because it's not ready, and the sun was it was foggy, and the sun needs to be much further, actually behind the tree to actually backlight it to give me the look that I want. So I'll be back probably 2 or 3 days. So if when I come back, I'm going to add on to this video, and we'll see if my waiting paid off, or maybe I should have just went ahead and went for it and just got a shot this year just so I had one. But I think if I wait, I'll come out with a better photograph. So stay tuned. So let's fast forward. I knew I didn't want to go back on the weekend because it'd be way just too crowded. Monday was my last chance, because after that, it was rain in the forecast. Now there's a lot of, maybe not a lot, but some photographers kind of, I don't know, look down on taking shots like this because, this is something that everybody does. And I personally don't have a problem with it. Nobody's going to create the photo that I create, even though the subject's going to be the same. What I do in the editing, or how I see it, or how I kind of frame it up, is going to be just a little bit different. And again, it's my photograph, it's not someone else's. So I don't have a problem with, all of these photographers here taking and we're all going to be taking essentially the same photograph. It's the same tree. But it's kind of like Mesa Arch, which is like, the line of photographers every single morning, pretty much 365 days a year. It's just, they line up to get that sunrise shot. And there are some photographers that like, I'm not even going to bother doing it because everybody's done it. And I kind of think that's why you should do it, because it is an iconic place, just like Half Dome in Yosemite, or this Japanese maple and the Japanese gardens here in Portland. It's an iconic place. It's like the Grand Canyon, or Mount Adams, or Mount Rainier, or any of those, any national park, or any location really. I mean, those iconic places are worth photographing, and it doesn't matter if it's been done before. The light changes, the environment changes, the seasons change, and it's your photograph. So don't be put off by taking photographs of things that other people have done. I mean, that's a great way to improve your photography, as you see something amazing that someone else has done, and you try to kind of, maybe not copy it directly, but it gives you inspiration. At least it does for me. When I see something beautiful that somebody else has done, and I think I would like to photograph that and get a good, it inspires me to create something beautiful as well. All right, so I'm up next. I've got my wide angle lens is already on the camera because there's a huge line, and obviously we want to, be respectful of everybody's time in front of it. So I'm all prepped. I've got a polarizer on just to help darken that color just a little bit. I got the right lens on, got my tripod pretty much set up, and as soon as the spot opens, then I'll sit down, make a composition, and focus. Because the tree is so incredibly close, you're going to be shooting at f/16, f/18, somewhere around in there. It's barely a breeze that is happening. So again, you got to really pay attention to those fringe areas. Anything that's really close to the camera, any type of breeze is going to cause those leaves to move a little bit, and you're not going to want that to happen in your photograph. So you're going to have to make sure your shutter speed is going to be fast enough to freeze that, and you might have to blend two different exposures in Photoshop when you get done. The other thing is focus. If the leaves are very, very close, even at f/16 on a wide angle lens, it might not be sharp. So you want to triple check that. Make sure that the entire photograph is sharp, or you might have to focus stack as well. So those are the little things just to pay attention to when you're doing something like this that you're so incredibly close to. So this is the view under the tree. You have to get down really, really low. I'm pretty much on the ground, and good. Let's get down here on the, see if we can see this.
Yeah, exactly. I'd much rather be able to like look down and see it instead of having to finagle and like look at it. So. Yeah.
Okay, so like f/18, 2.5 seconds, ISO 200, just to keep my shutter speed from growing too long. Because if the little bit smallest breeze is going to cause those leaves to move on the edges, and then I would just totally lose the quality on the edges. I'm just walking around, grabbing some other photos that are really pretty, and I love, there's another Japanese maple that's in full color. We got a little waterfall. You don't have to have the whole tree, so the main, if you look at the shot that I've got my waterfall down here in the rule of thirds, kind of in the lower left, and then the color and all the tree is in the upper right. And I've got this little fern, and it's on the lower right again, some natural framing components going on that I think really work well together. f/16, ISO 100. It's a long exposure, but it's a little bitty waterfall, and I really like the way that the water looks with that longer exposure. I think it looks really, really good. So we'll see how it looks once I get it back on the computer. So I'm all done, and I think I got a really nice photograph. It was really the peak of color. This morning, when I did do the video, it was not backlit, and I think you're going to really like I'll show you both of them right now. You'll see the you'll see the early morning shot that was not backlit. Then the second shot will be the backlit photograph. So I think the backlit one is going to be just stunning with the orange. It was so vivid. I think it'll be really, really, really nice. So here's the photos. So this is the early morning photograph that I took, and you'll notice that there's no light really coming through, even though there was some sun coming from the left, as you can see from the little starburst. But it was so low in the sky that it wasn't able to really break through and light those leaves up like I wanted, which is why you'll notice that the foreground is just one solid shade, that it's all in shade. So this is the one that was a little later in the morning when the sun was backlighting those leaves just in a fantastic way. I really like the added contrast that the backlighting gives to the scene, and I really like the shadows that are thrown onto the foreground of the tree. So out of the two, this is my favorite, but I'd like to know what you think. Do you like the one that's from the early morning, or do you like the one from the late morning that has the backlighting? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, so that's it from the Portland Japanese Gardens, and I hope you liked it. Hope you got something out of it. And don't forget, if you liked it, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you next time.